how B and I decided to figure would be the best way to do this is we're talking about getting them ready for the world, going from boys to men. So we figured that why not, let's break it down to some of the main categories that we think are relevant and necessary for the world today, especially for young men. Because look, there's a loneliness epidemic. Men are in their house like playing video games, popping out knuckle children. I don't know what else, bro. And they're not really interacting with people. And what's happening is like there's even conversations right now of that men are women now and women are men. Bless up. Welcome to It's More Than Black or White Health Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Paul. I'm an author, co-author, and a mental rewire and a co-host of this podcast right here with my co-host, B. What up, B?
Hey, what's up, guys? Brian, I'm a little under the weather. My 3-year-old's trying to kill me with it's like a walking petri dish. So my voice is a little off today. But Brian, your co-host here, traveler, entrepreneur, student of the universe, ready to drop some knowledge.
Blessings. Bless up. And damn those little walking petri dishes.
And
if you're joining, yeah, you will be, man. You listen, man. You
got me good.
Rain in no time.
Yeah.
So, if this is the first time that you're joining us, welcome. This podcast is for people that are looking to be an advocate for their own health and well-being. Brian and I have covered topics ranging from physical well-being, social well-being, financial well-being, all the 8 different spheres of well-being. And today, what we're focused in on is how parents can raise boys into men. Now, this is for, B. Oh, we want to go, B.
Oh, yeah.
So listen, this, and for those also, I failed to mention, for those that are subscribers returning, thank you for supporting and for sharing the podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into this topic because and just as a disclaimer, Brian and I are parents. We are free of saying that we know it all. We're coming from the right, me like, yo, look.
Oh, it's a never-ending lesson.
For real, so man. That's life. So where we're coming from is Brian and I, especially with the work that we do and speaking and working with others and working with kids, we see, and especially we have sons, especially seeing that what's happening with the men in our society nowadays. And we've had conversations on low testosterone. This is really kicking off or part of our men's health series. So we want to talk to parents that are together, parents that are divorced, co-parents, whatever that is. We want to just go over some things that we think are going to be very important in regards to supporting boys turning into men. So B, before we get into it, B, like, what was your thoughts on this topic when we were like, yo, let's do this? Because out of the meeting we had, it was just kind of like, yo, let's do that. Like,
yeah. You know what it is, like, just growing up, like, we're not growing up, just working in the fitness industry. You see all these young kids that come in and they're so impressionable and they're like a piece of hardware it's just clean. It needs to be downloaded. You need to download them some information.
Yeah.
Right. So basically it's the whole chakra system, right? So I just see how these kids, I mean, like, let me take a step back. Your goal as a parent is to get your kids ready for the real world. Mm-hmm. That's your only goal. Get your kids ready for the real world. Right. And I see a lot of these parents, and listen, like, no one's perfect. Life gets in the way sometimes, but I see kids that are raised by TV. They're eating shit food. They're just like constantly just like dopamine hits here and there because they're always on their phone, and and they have no communication skills. They don't understand what it's like to be an adult. Yeah. And not that they should be an adult, but you got to start progressing in that way. Otherwise, whatever you're teaching them, they're going to take with that through their teens or 20s, 30s, or 40s. Right. We see this a lot. Right. So it's a big passion of mine, especially for now that I have a 3-year-old and my wife and I we're gonna start maybe having some more kids. Like, I want to make sure like I'm doing everything right to get them ready, not wasting time by doing things with them that they really shouldn't be doing. Yeah, everyone needs a little downtime, but am I getting my kid ready to be efficient in the real world? That's the question.
Yeah, brother. Thank you for that, man. And it resonates with me in a very similar way, man, because it's interesting because like the work I do with men and like being in men's circles and being in a part of a lot of men's initiation rituals and retreats and things like this, I see that a lot of what's happened to them as adults stem from what's gone on for them as kids. So what I notice happens, and I'm speaking specifically for myself. I noticed for me is as like when I became a parent, uh, because I had yet to do quote unquote the work and really know kind of like the inner workings of myself, I noticed that a lot of my healing came through my kid. And it was like I was looking for my kid to be my healer rather than for me to guide and get them prepped and ready for what's coming. So there was a shift, I think that I actually not think I know I needed that. Looking back on, it, I'm happy that I took, and I'm very passionate about helping other men to get there as well. Like just to say, like, hey, listen, if I were to be gone tomorrow, and I think as and B, I think you can attest this too. As I'm getting older, I'm looking more at the legacy piece. So if I were to be gone tomorrow, did I instill enough in my son? Like, did I instill enough in my kids to make sure that they're prepared for what's out there? Or did I create the type of environment that can make sure that the kids are prepped and ready? You see what I'm saying, B?
Yeah.
So it's I think I'm really excited that we're talking about this, and people watching how being I decided to figure would be the best way to do this is we're talking about getting them ready for the world, going from boys to men. So we figured that why not? Let's break it down to some of the main categories that we think are relevant and necessary for the world today, especially for young men. Because look, there's a loneliness epidemic. Men are in their house like playing video games, popping out knuckle children. I don't know what else, bro. And they're not really interacting with people. And what's happening is like there's even conversations right now of that men are women now and women are men.
Oh, I definitely see a change in that.
Dude.
I definitely see that.
Bro, so what? Tell me. So what? So okay, I'm curious. Before we get into it, I'm curious. Like, what are some of the changes that you've seen or that you're seeing with the men that the boys coming up right now?
So when I was working at Lifetime, I mean, I still work there a couple sessions a week, just do a couple classes, but it's a high demographic area. I mean, it's a wealthy area. Lifetime, they don't put clubs in areas that are like the household income isn't less than like $250,000 a year, right? They go to that certain demographic. So I see a lot of high powered like women in there, CEOs, Fortune 500 companies, moving up the ranks, very aggressive, very male characteristics. And I'm not saying that as a knock. It's like they're very feminine, they're very, beautiful women, but there's male characteristics. Like they have like, you ever see like the Jordan Peterson stuff where he talks about the difference between men and women?
I've seen some of them. Like, yeah, he said, I mean, yes, I've seen some of those.
I wish I knew the types off the top of my head because it's interesting. Because like women, for example, in general, they're more like they're more passive. They're more like, they don't put up a fight in the workplace. That's one of the reasons, according to him, that women don't make that much money. I've seen a shift now where it's almost like the opposite, where men don't put up a fight and women are more aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a chip on their shoulder or whatever it is. I have no idea. Maybe the man in the house is not picking up the slack, and now the woman's got to help kind of balance it out. I have no idea, but I just see it more. I see it more in these days. There are more male characteristics in women and more female characteristics in men.
Yeah. So yeah, this is good. So I want to just set something up here because what I'm hearing is when you're seeing the female demographic, at Lifetime, you're seeing the quality, like when you say the male qualities, what I'm hearing in that is the assertiveness, the direction. Like I also heard you say they're on the corporate ladder. So that tells me purpose. So like they have those qualities, right? Whereas and something else you said was and this is like, I'm trying to remember if it was either Jordan Peterson or David Data. The thing with the passivity is that the feminine energy is receptivity.
Yeah.
So receptivity is naturally going to be more passive, right? So that's, I think that was something Jordan, like the past, like they're receivers, right? Even if you look at the female, like the genitalia of males and females, like the woman has the receiver, men has the insertion, right? The direction. And that quality is flipped, and that's something that I'm seeing as well, man. Along with some
and it's interesting too, like women, they marry men, but women are not getting married until later on in life. They're not having kids till later on in life.
Yeah.
And I was reading an interesting article about this the other day, and they were saying one of the reasons women aren't settling down and not having families right away is because the men that they're with are boys, children, and they don't see that safety, that security there. They don't, they don't have that structure. So they're like, hey, might as well work on myself, work my way up the corporate ladder, or maybe start a business and just hustle. And then when I do find the right man, I get settled down. Usually that happens later on in life. I mean, I'll take myself as a perfect example. I was a complete shit show until I was about 33, 34 maybe. And that's when a switch went off me and I started changing my whole mindset. But God, yeah, I was definitely a 33-year-old child. I was a 33-year-old or a 7-year-old boy in a 33-year-old body. I can definitely attest. Yeah,
right.
My 7-year-old still comes out to this day, but I can definitely tell it reflected on my life at the time, and everything goes for it. Like all my friends, my finances, my direction in life, how I felt about myself. That's all that 7-year-old child is, the inner child that's in me. I mean, you're a direct, I look at it as a direct correlation between your mental, emotional age until the external environment that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Oh man, bro, so much goodness, man. So much goodness in that. I want to, dang, man, you're dropping so many gems. I had a thought and I was like, man, I was paying attention to what you were saying. I'm like, dang.
Look at that. Even when I'm not feeling well, I still have the ability to drop a gem or two.
You're dropping gems, bro. You're dropping them. And the thing I want to make sure we're addressing here is that, especially with what you're talking about being a 7-year-old and a 33-year-old's body, like this is the main this is part of the conversation we're having about transitioning from boys to men, because there's still men that are out here acting as men that are really still boys, and that's what's raising the boys coming up, right? Because it's like, and when I say, and I just also want to highlight too, like when and I think it may be the same for you, and if I'm wrong, please let me know. But when we're talking about boys to men, it's also immaturity into maturity, like unpreparedness into preparedness. It's more than just like, your puberty stage. Like this is a mentality, because really to show up as a man means it's beyond like what you make, right? Because like, listen, Tom Brady didn't make as much as Giselle.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was the man in the family until she cheated and had a baby with the other cat. But like, listen, he still was a man, dude. I mean, he was a director of champions, right?
Yeah. So when I say man, and I couple that with when I say finances and man, I don't mean that you have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, hey, listen, I want to get just say I want to get a house. I want to set my family up. I want to bring my kids to school. And you're living paycheck to paycheck because you want to lease a car for $500 a month, or you want to do stupid shit, or you want to spend your money on liabilities and not creating assets. Listen, we all had that tough time. There's been times where I had a negative balance in my account so many times, and they still hit me with a $15 charge. That's another rant. But there's been so many times where like they shut off my electricity, they did all this stuff. But it's not about a number in your bank account. It's about what are you doing to try to get ahead. You know, again, car payments, clothes, shoes. Are you door dashing every day? Like, it's all just liability shit.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not you're not thinking long term. You're not thinking, and that's the short term gratification. That's the child mentality. Adult mentality is you look long term. All right, I'm gonna, maybe, I don't know, like buy some stocks and let it sit there for a little bit. I'm gonna buy some, maybe a rental property, put a couple grand down with some friends, even though it's not a lot of money, but I'm still having something I can invest or whatever it is. You're building assets slowly, or
Yeah.
you're educating yourself. So it's not a financial number, whether you have $10 in your account or you have $1 billion in your account. I've seen a lot of billionaires with a fucking child mentality. Trust me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, listen, you're speaking more gems, man. And I think what I'm hearing in that is the financial literacy and maturity is being able to go from instant gratification to delayed gratification, man. Like, okay, can I put aside some money and to get something long term, or
Yeah.
am I aware of my finances? Like, look, bro, real talk. This is something that I've like, like the past year I've been practicing and like whittling down to now where it's like, I got tools like Rocket Money and stuff like this where I can really like, oh shoot, like I paid this one, I'm out of budget, man. Like before I didn't
Yeah.
even give a crap. That's why I was
Yeah.
like always in the negative and like always like, oh man, I gotta have my paycheck and it's done. Because I wasn't paying attention. That's boy stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. And that's what this whole podcast is in. So listen, we can go on and I think we're going to drizzle into some of these things as we get into it. But the first one I want to rock with is work ethic and responsibility to kick it off, right? About in regards to bringing boys to men. So I'm curious for you, like, in your experience so far, like, and I know you have visions of how you're looking to raise Noah. Like, so what do you see as like, what's the reason you think this is important, and where do you see it lacking right now in society, bro?
I think it's very easy to be part of the 1% of people that succeed in this world. And what I mean by that is nobody really likes to do the tough stuff to get ahead.
Right.
They don't mind doing it in the beginning when they get the motivation, but it's the discipline all the time. It's the consistency all the time. And it's creating what's the word I'm looking for? Integrity. It's in creating self-integrity. Hey, you say you're going to do this, you better do it.
Yes.
So I find this, and in order to do this, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. So for me, it's like, when I started, it was like when I was around 33, 34, like a light went off my head, and I was like, all right, how do I get ahead of the game? How can I start moving myself up? And I was like, all right, one of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. I don't care if I have a client till 9 or 10. I'm waking up at 5 o'clock every morning. That shit is tough, man. When that alarm goes off and you're just like, oh my God, all right, maybe I can sleep one more hour. No, like you just got to get up and you got to make it a goal and to be disciplined to wake up at that time every single morning, whatever time it is, and then do something with your day. Have it planned out the night before. What are you going to do? What are like 3 things you want to accomplish in the morning and get them done? And just doing it. Like, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. If every single person in the world, just say there's a million people in the world, in the United States. I know there's more. There's like 340 million. But just say there's a million people. And you have all of them waking up at 8 o'clock every morning to get to work by 9 o'clock. Most of them, probably about 95% of them are going to wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And they're not going to work on themselves. They're not going to go to the gym. They're not going to educate themselves on finances. They're not going to, read or whatever like that. If you wake yourself up at 5 o'clock, you have a 2.5 hour head start on every single person. That's per day. Now do that over a week, do that over a month, do that over a year. Dude, how are you not going to be ahead of these people? That's why I'm saying it's so easy to get there. The plan is easy. That every day, the discipline, waking up early, eating clean, getting to bed early. That's the difficult part. But you just create habits and you do it. Now it's like clockwork for me. Like I don't even think about it. And it's just been like, it just catapulted my career. I got to a point where I was living paycheck to paycheck. couldn't afford electricity. 10 years later, I have, X amount of money. I travel whenever I want.
Yeah.
I have a couple businesses and I do all this. And it's just a foundation you have to set. So for me, like teaching my kids, like set foundations, set, discipline. You got to be disciplined with everything and be crystal clear with what you want. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. Otherwise you can be just doing random shit all day. It's just busy work. That doesn't mean anything. People that are busy are not hard workers. Just busy shit. We talked about this in past episodes. So that's my point.
Yeah, brother. Great. Yeah, listen. Ding, 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 brother. Everything you said, man. This is the importance of this. Was highlighted in everything you said, man. And I want to highlight a couple other things as far as the work ethic, especially in addition to what you're saying. Being able to teach that kind of work ethic early conditions boys that when they become men physically, they know they get to work towards and for something. The world will move when you are moving, right? Like,
yeah.
So that means like you got to move. You got to make sure you're getting things done. You got to, and one of the things like I love hearing you say about is get the win. Like you're getting a win. And I think that's the key piece about the work ethic, the responsibility is like, hey, if I have a goal in mind, and we told you, you say this all the time, you have depression because you don't have purpose and no goal. And when you have a goal in mind, man, there's a response. You create a responsibility to yourself to accomplish that goal. Now, if you have a family and like, especially for the men out there, for the women, like, okay, there's a responsibility to prepare this being that you've co-created to be able to move or go on without you. And I think a lot of parents will fail to teach that because like they want their kids to be, oh, I love my kids. They can live me till they're 77. Yeah. Like, is that really helping them though? Right? Because like, what's the responsibility that they have? Do they? And I was listening to this.
That's an unresolved emotional issue that the parent has.
Yes, very much so, man. Very much so.
They're clinging on the kid as a crutch. It's not the other way around.
It's not. It's
but go ahead.
No, but I feel what you're saying. Like, and I was listening to this podcast, and this gentleman was saying, it was like, a lot of times, like we'll save money for college, or like, we'll have the kids live with us, but then like, what about like investing in a property and having them rent to learn what it is to get roommates, learn what it is to have that conversation, collect rent, because now what's happening is you're training them. Like, first of all, to be responsible, but you're also training them in that life skill of being able to manage money, manage people, collect, sell, like all these different things. The other piece I want to add to this is the accountability, right? Because like, if we're teaching boys, this is the thing. Like I have like issues with myself. With my son is like, and not being able to be there to be in that raising process. Is teaching the accountability. And you mentioned it, like, hey, do what you say you're going to do, right? So it's like, and this is something I wrestle with too, like, damn, I said I was going to do this. So now, damn, I messed up. So, but it teaches like, hey, I got to be accountable to this person. And listen, the biggest flex is being accountable to yourself. But like speaking for myself, like, bro, there's a lot of weeks, man, I don't feel like freaking editing. But I know Brian and I have a mission. So it's like, and plus I'm accountable to Brian and I'm accountable to the podcast. So it's like, get it done, man. Like, I don't care. You got to stay up, then stay your ass up. But this is the piece that I think is missing when we're talking about like raising boys to men, because I'm seeing it in the men now. Like, they're not really, they're taking responsibilities non-existent, bro. A work ethic is like, what does that mean? Like, cats aren't anyway. Yeah, that's
a question that I would ask myself when I have a kid. I'm like, all right, what is my kid doing that most people aren't doing right now? That's putting him ahead of the game, And if he's not, we need to have a sit down conversation. Like I joined an entrepreneurs organization group, and I love the group. One of the reasons I joined it is because you have to make a certain amount of money. You have to make $1 million a year in gross every year to be part of this group. And one of the reasons I joined it is so I get my wife involved. I can get Noah when he gets older, and I want him to be around him. And so when Noah comes in to me one day and he's like, hey, I want to be a millionaire. I'm like, all right, you got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Are you really ready to do that? It's not watching cartoons and being on your phone all the time. That's one way how not to be a millionaire. So I want to get involved now. I'm doing like business conferences. I'm flying out to Dallas. It's a Limitless Expo, which is basically they talk about everything finances from micro lending to electricity, where to invest your money in oil to real estate and all this stuff. And you can bring your kids for free up until the age of 18. I want him to go to this stuff. So I look at this EO group, I look at this Limitless group, and Noah, like, we still haven't decided if we want to homeschool him yet. So this school system is just trash. And I'm just like, yeah, I know. But I just, one thing, the only thing I don't want to, reason I don't want is I want him to be with people. I want to be with kids. And then, but that's another topic. That's another episode. But
well maybe.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But if he does go to the schools, he's not going to learn a fraction of what I can teach him. Just have him follow me in the EO groups or in the entrepreneurs organization groups, or follow me to these other business conferences. He'll get more out of one day in those business conferences than he will a whole semester in school.
Dude,
so that's a big,
what's a big what?
That's a big thing for me, to be able to like financially keep making that money, so I can be part of these groups, so I can show him the dedication, the discipline it takes to get to that point. Yeah. And so he'll want to follow.
Yeah, listen. So I'm hearing so much in that, and this goes in alignment with what we have on the screen, and then also what we can go into next. Like first with like the work ethic that I like, speaking to the work ethic and responsibility, because I hear the responsibility that you have towards Noah and your family. Mm-hmm. And that's a commitment, right? That's about teaching boys going into manhood about being committed. And then also the perseverance of things. We talked about that a little bit before. But moving into the financial literacy piece, because I think this is something that I wonder if more parents considered, because what I really like about when the first time you told me about this, I'm still freaking digging it, is because you're putting him in the environment. And it's free of saying like, okay, no, you got it. I never heard you say, hey, I'm going to make sure he does this. Yeah. I hear you saying like, hey, him being in the environment when he wants to ... He's got the resources, man. And this is just as much as you're teaching kids about bank statements, debits, credits, how to use credit, because I don't think a lot of people talk about that, how to save money, how to think long term. Like, listen, these are all the things that are needed as boys become men, because men got to take responsibility. Yeah. And you still mentioned before, like, listen, budgeting, saving, investing. What about financial independence?
Yeah.
Right. Hey, listen,
financial even if freedom.
Financial freedom, bro. Right. What does that even look like?
My life right now, I love my life right now. Knock on wood. I mean, it's. I got to a point where like,
I love your life too. I'm working towards it.
It takes a while to get there, but anybody can do it. I'm no special than anyone else. I'm no smarter than anyone else. My thing is I'm just disciplined, and that's basically it. I'm just driven. I know what my goals are, and I'm disciplined. And I do it every single day. And I surround myself with good people. I wouldn't be anywhere without those great people in my life. But I forgot what the hell I was going to talk about, but.
Well, I'm glad, because I want to reframe you on something, man, because like, bro, I hear you say, and I've heard you say this a couple of times before, like you like something like about like you're ordinary, right? And I'm just gonna clap back on that respectfully, like, bro, you're not, right? You're not ordinary, because first of all, the discipline that you've put towards building up until where you are right now, that's something most people don't have. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast. That discipline is key. Financial literacy, bro. This is when you start this is where you crack me open on the freaking finances with business, bro. When you and I had that conversation, you were talking about having different accounts, and I remember I was like, yo, that's some discipline, man. Because I need gas money, man. I'm going into my taxes fund, but bro, that's discipline, bro. So I just want to call that out, and I'm calling it out for a reason for the viewers and the listeners. Listen. Financial literacy and every single freaking thing we're talking about when it comes to raising boys into men, it requires discipline. It's like, hey, the first of all, the discipline is like, hey, what's your goal? First of all, like, and I know you mind if I use it as an example?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I remember like you talking about like, yo, Paul, financial freedom for me is I want to travel, bro. I want to travel. I want to go where I want to go. I don't have to worry about shit. And I'm like, that's my dude. That's what I'm talking about. Now, fast forward, zoom, 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 to today. Guess what, bro? My dude's going away for weeks. He took his wife to Africa for anniversary, bro. This is what I'm talking about. You know how he got there, ladies and gentlemen? Discipline, vision. He knew in his mind what it was going to create. And if you go back to the archives, he was like, look, I looked at the life I wanted. I looked at the life I wanted, then reverse engineered that piece. That's also a part of financial literacy, because like, I don't know if some people may not agree, but you can go kick it or get your own podcast. Okay. Vision is part of financial literacy, because you got to know where you're going, because if you don't know, how are you going to know what it's going to take to get there financially?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Come
exactly.
on now. And that's personal development too, bro.
Yeah.
That's personal development.
Yeah, you got to teach your kids doing early. That's you ingrain that with them. You know, it's kind of like I listened to somebody the other day talk, and he's like my 10-year-old kid who wanted like a I forget what he wanted, something I don't know, like a basketball hoop or something like that. But he only had a certain money saved, and he had enough just for the basketball hoop. And the guy's like, "Hey, listen, you can buy the basketball hoop, we can use it. And you'll be broke again." And he's like, "We go to a gym every day. You have basketball hoop there, but if you want to buy this, we'll get it, we'll install it, but you'll be broke. Or you can invest that money, and in 20 years, with that money that you invested in that basketball hoop, you could probably buy a basketball hoop factory." I was like, I kind of like that. I mean, I don't know how far fetched it was, but he's like, it's like, hey, listen, like, you know, it's the old scenario. It's like, I'll give you a cookie now, or you can wait 20 years and you can buy a cookie factory. You know, then you have all the cookies you want instead of begging everyone for a cookie in between. So yes, I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm missing a little context in there, but it was, you get the point.
I get the point. And listen, and it brings me to a point that I think is extremely important. And this is especially for divorced dads or divorced parents. One of the things that I've experienced, and even like as a child and even as an adult, like with my child, is that my actions can display negative financial literacy. Oh. And what Brian was saying is like, yo, okay, you know, whatever the context was, but I get the message. Like, you're teaching the kid about instant gratification versus delayed gratification and the benefits of delayed gratification. So like when I was younger, because, you know, when my parents got divorced, I think my dad really, he would give me money rather than give my mom. So it was like, or get me gifts or get me food, or like, you know, buy instead of giving to her, like in my judgment, out of spite. And I don't know, Pop. I don't know. That could be wrong, or maybe it's right. Who knows? The sky's beautiful. But like I recognize, like for me, it's like, damn, like it taught me instant gratification, because I had to teach myself that. And I'm teaching myself that now. Now I see that with what happened with my son, because I had never addressed that wound before, Brian. Like I recognize, like, okay, like even if I was in a bad situation financially, I was trying to do something to, like, out of spite to his mom, or like to like, oh, I gotta make sure I'm the best parent. Brr, I'm gonna do it. But meanwhile, I was like, if I was financially literate and wise, like I could have taught him indifferently about finances. Why I bring this up is because this, along with everything else that we have here, if you as a parent fail to address this for yourself, there's no way you're going to be able to teach your kid. So just like stop, be free of trying to put it off on anybody else, because that's a whole bunch of bullshit. Own that, learn for yourself, and figure that out, integrate it for yourself, so you can teach the next one and they can build on what you know. Please, it's necessary, bro.
Love that.
Yeah, man, it's key. It's key. Now, going along with financial literacy, which I think is important, with that is the relationship skills, because I want to still feed on what you had with the EO group, because I think what's important is that you're in the environment with others, and your son sees you relate to others. curious for you, like when we see this topic, like how important is that for you when it comes to like raising boys into men?
You know what? I learned a lot out of this EO group. Again, it's Entrepreneurs Organization Group. Is the way they communicate with people. So if you come to me and say, "Hey, Brian, I'm having an issue with I have $10,000. I want to invest my money so it can double in the next 5 years." Now, what are your thoughts on that? In the EO group, I can't ever tell you, "Hey, what you should do is X, Y, and Z, or do this, do this, do this, do this," for a couple reasons. Because first, it makes me sound like I'm looking over you. And what happens if you invest that money and you lose it all? Now we're going to have friction within the group, you know? So what they teach you is sharing life experiences. So, hey, Paul, I had a client one time that had $10,000, and what he did is he put a little bit of money, he put half the money in oil and gas, and he put the other half in a mutual fund. Within 4.5 years, he doubled his money. I can put you in contact with that guy if you're interested. That's how they communicate. They share real life life experiences, or they share stories or something like that. But it's never, "Hey, Paul, take that $10,000 and put it in this stock, or do this, or this is easy. You should do this. You should buy real estate." Duh, like everyone does that. That's not the way to communicate. So, like what I'm doing now is Noah is at 3. He doesn't. He's at that cusp where he's like, all right, I can slowly. I'm having conversations with him, but he'll be like, "Oh, I like, give me a cookie," and I'm like, no, it's like, if you eat the cookie now, you might not be hungry for dinner later, or your tummy might hurt you. Because I've eaten a lot of cookies before, and that's what happens. And then he thinks now, and whether he goes for the cookie still. Or he goes for the cookie. I mean, 9 out of 10 times he's gonna go for the cookie still. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't. He's not thinking of the aftermath of. But you know what I mean. But I'm trying to have those conversations, so it creates independence. It creates like you're empowering them. They're empowering themselves because it's their decision. Absolutely. And I see that a lot with parents that do the exact opposite. No, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Oh no, what are you doing? You shouldn't do that. Do this. And it's like. The kid, like, that's why there's so much anxiety with people, because they don't know what to do. They're so scared to make a decision because they got the parent, mom and dad in the back of their head telling them what they're doing is right or wrong all the time. Dude, let the kid fall on his face. Let him make mistakes, man. Like, just let him go through life.
Let him experience it, man.
Yeah, have the experience. Yeah.
Hey, I'm curious, man, because like you got me intrigued. When you were talking about the communication style and how they do it in Entrepreneurs Organization. What made the difference for you? Because I hear something in that difference, and to be specific, the difference of, hey, this is what you should do versus like, hey, I know somebody has done this and blah, blah, blah. If like you want, I can put you in contact with them. What was the big difference in that communication versus like what you've experienced before that really locked you in, man?
Because I like how it puts both people on an even playing field. This person, the person that's talking is I'm not, if like, again, we'll go back to the situation. Brian, I have $10,000. I want to do it. It's not like I'm standing over you, but do this, Paul, do this. You should do this, and make you feel inferior to my knowledge.
Right.
And if I'm just kind of sitting back and I'd be like, hey, I got this going on. There's no pressure on you to do it. There's no pressure on me. If you do it, I don't have to worry about you investing money and it falling apart and our friendship taking a hit or whatever it is. It just mentally and emotionally, we're both on this playing field. And it's interesting because we have like small groups of like 6 or 7 people in like what they call a forum, and everyone shares their experience. Yep. And you get a lot of stuff. And there's sometimes people be like, all right, what would you do if you're in my situation? If I was in your situation, I would do, but I'd never say you should do. If I was in your situation, I would do this. Sometimes people don't want to hear a story. They don't want their life experience. Like, just what would you do? What would you do? All right, what I would do is I would do X, Y, and Z. So we get that. So it's always what would I do and shared experience.
Brother, speaking, there's so many, this is the same thing we do in a lot of the men's circles, man. Speak from the eye.
Yeah.
I can't speak for you. And that's what most people do. Like, when you do this, what you should, nah, man, I'll tell you what I would do. I'm not you. But
Yeah.
like, I want, because there's a couple of things here. And one of the reasons I asked the question about what was the big difference for you in the communication, because when you talk about everyone's on the same playing field, that brings me into the other spaces of negotiation and conflict resolution. I think and I think this is something that we have failed to consistently teach boys going into manhood, and I think it's something we get to change. How we communicate with her, how we collaborate, how we negotiate. Like, hey, how can we come to a win-win for both parties? We're both gonna have to compromise something. So listen, let's hash it out. What's the most, like, how do we come to the same common ground? Also, it's like when we have a conflict, hey, it's about communication. Like, hey, what I heard you say was this. This is what I was experiencing. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Okay. Oh, that's where you're coming from. All this is about building relationship. And there's this constant narrative that men don't talk, blah, blah, blah. We don't know how to. That's a whole bunch of bull stuff, because we get to teach our young guys, our young boys, like, hey, this is how we relate to another. Okay. This is how we can negotiate. Like, listen, it's a barter system.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to barter. I was like, what? This is foreign. You don't just want the money? Like, nah, man, I got this. What you got? Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
And
a
I think
barter.
and I think the biggest thing, sorry to cut you off
No,
before I
good,
forget,
bro.
is never get emotional. Don't let them ever see you get emotional. You take it in. I see a lot of business. I watch a lot of like business meetings. Like, I like to see how people negotiate things. You know, one person will lowball them, and he knows he's going the guy that's going in to, you know, sell something. He knows he's going to lowball him, but he just says they stay calm. You
Yeah.
know, they're just like, all right, you know, I see where you're coming from, but and just don't ever let anybody see you get emotional. That's like the
Never let
rule
me
number
see
one in
sweat.
business. You want to be good at business, don't ever let anyone see you get emotional. You can get, when you walk away, yeah, you can, you know, go to the gym and lift some weights, or, you know, curse up a storm, but don't let them see it. That's a sign of weakness. When I see people getting emotional during that, I'm like,
Yeah.
you're a child. You're a
Right.
child. And I'm not in the child sense is like I'm like making fun of you. It's going back to where I was talking about myself before. You're a 7-year-old in a 30, 40-year-old body. You're a child. And why would I want to be in a business with somebody like that? It just doesn't make sense.
Brother, you speaking the truth again. Speaking the truth. All right, so listen, I'm sorry, because this is too damn good, brother. Because so there's a thing that I think men have about emotional, like, yo, show your emotions, because everybody calls for men to show their emotions. I want to see a man cry. For what, man? Like, come on, stop. So this is why I like to say, like, I love the fact that you mentioned this, because men can get super emotional, because men can get passionate, bro.
Yeah.
And 9.9972 times out of 10, people are going to take the passion for anger, right? So the emotional intelligence, and this is what I love teaching men, is like, yo, it's not about like, hey, I'm really sad. It's about like, no, what are you experiencing right now? And now, okay, you've identified it. Okay, how do you harness or control it? Okay, how do you harness and control it? Are you really angry? Or really, is there something under that? Actually, I'm fucking really sad. Okay, cool. You got you good now? Okay, now how do we harness that piece? Because
Yeah.
men are never taught that, bro. And that's where the tempers get out of control. Because if I'm in a negotiation and I'm like, oh man, I knew you're gonna do that. So okay, let's really talk now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get off the handle. I'm like, all right, listen, this isn't working out. Let's come back tomorrow, or not. Okay. Hey, listen, but like,
Yeah.
it's about how do I manage that, my emotions and my temperature, because both are going to play a very pivotal role in a man's success going forward, bro. You see it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You don't burn bridges on your way up, because eventually you're going to come down. You're going to meet those people on the way down. So,
Down, bro. You treat everybody
you know,
nice, and this comes back to the relationship skills and negotiation, because I think emotional intelligence is a key piece of all that. Because if I can recognize an emotion that's coming up in me, and then I can recognize an emotion that's coming up in another, I can be able to either calm that emotion, or I can feed and work with it and address it. Like,
yeah.
if I'm negotiating with someone and I can sense that there's fear there, if I'm going to succeed at closing that deal, let's address the fear. Otherwise, it ain't going anywhere. But again, I got to have the emotional intelligence, and I got to be able to control my own temperature to be able to even be in that space, bro. See what I'm saying?
That's wild. Yeah. So, well, what do you think are some tactics or things parents can do to increase emotional intelligence?
Bro, teach your kids to breathe properly.
I like that. Yeah.
Teach them to breathe, bro. I was just at this freaking retreat doing co-hosting circles for families impacted by gun violence. Bro, I did a freaking 3-minute breathing exercise. It shifted the whole room. Why, Paul? Well, because we hold, man. We don't breathe. Or we breathe like this.
Yeah.
Which automatically breeds anxiety. Teach your kids how to breathe. And then teach them how to focus on one thing. You do those two things, we're in a different playing field, man. Right off the bat.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying, bro? It doesn't even take much. You teach them those two things, they're applicable across all these fields, bro.
Yeah. It's funny. My 9-year-old niece spent the night over here a couple days ago. She's like, Brian, I'm doing a 5K run. And I heard breathing's important. I'm like, yeah, it's a little important. I'm like, have you ever heard of diaphragmatic breathing? She's like, no. I knew she didn't. Like, no. Right. Yeah, so yeah. I showed her like a YouTube video, and I was like, oh, let's practice. And she loved it. You know, she was like, oh, let's, give her a video to use so she can practice. And, will she use it after this? I don't know. Maybe she was just trying to make me feel good, but, we'll see.
Bro, see, I love this, right? And this is so important, right? Especially what we're talking about. Parents, if you teach your kids from young this practice of breathing, they're closer to it naturally than you are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The thing is if you let them keep going older and they fail to learn how to practice breathing properly, they get further and further disconnected from it until they're your age. And then they got to learn again, like probably you're doing.
Yeah. You ever teach an adult like how to diaphragmatically breathe? I mean, no, you have. It's more of a rhetorical question. Yeah. It's fucking impossible, man. That's one of the hardest things that I ever had to do in my training. It's crazy, I would literally have to put a book on their stomach, like a book on their chest. I'm like, have the book on your stomach rise first. Dude, you should just see what their bodies do. I'm like, my Lord, like no wonder you have neck pain and your back's always in spasm and you're breaking out all over the place, Yeah. That's a whole other episode if you're wondering why that can happen. Breathing, but
we got to get an episode on the I know we've done one already, but bro, this is what I'm talking about. And listen, it gets to the point right now where I'm like more tactile with it, bro. I put something on their belly. I'm like, use it to yoga block. You got to at this point because me saying it to you, blah blah blah. You're like, what? Your body has it until your body experiences it. It will fail to know, bro. It'll fail to know. But dude, this is a part of this too, man. And as we start to wrap, man, a part of this comes into when we talk about the emotional intelligence, temperature control, leadership and mentorship, man. This, I think it comes us being able to control our emotions and temper ourselves and have this relationship skills. This leads to how we can teach boys to be leaders and mentors, man. And this is importance for parents to lead by example and setting a positive example and encouraging mentoring relationships. Yo, B, I'm curious, who is a mentor you had, a male mentor outside of fathers or brothers that was that helped guide you in the journey path? I think I know, but
I always got to go back to Paul Check. I took a couple of his courses and I studied under. I watched a lot of his videos and I read all his books, and he changed the way my life is. I wouldn't be where I am without him. He told me how to goal set. Taught me about really diving into religion and spirituality, which played a big role in my life. Taught me how to manifest things in my life. He taught me so much about the human body that has made me a lot of money in training. And just getting into future businesses, it definitely helped. anybody's ever interested in, he has something called the PPS Success Program, Personal, Professional, and Spiritual Success Program. There's 10 DVDs. Even if you get the first one on goal setting, and you apply it, it'll change your life. It'll change your life.
Yeah,
And he sent me down. Yeah, he sent me down a rabbit hole with other spiritual gurus that have definitely transformed my life. A lot of the Wayne Dyers, the Greg Bradens, who does super conscious. Who was that again? I always forget that guy's name.
Not Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza.
Okay, got it. Okay,
might be butchering the title of his book, but Joe Dispenza helped me out a lot. The Deepak Chopras and all those people like really changed my life. But it was more just the mental foundation that changed my life. So, what about you?
Man, I knew you were gonna say Paul. I got another Paul that was like a mentor for me as a young kid, though. It was a guy, Paul Macy. So he was an older guy that lived next door to me when we were growing up. And this guy, man, they called him Big Paul. I was Little Paul. I would follow this dude around all the time. And he was just so caring, bro. And like so fun. He was like my grandpa, man. And like looking back when I start to think about like how would I model love to like my kid, like I come back to him. Like he helped mentor me in a way that was like so beautiful. And then like as I got older, there was a guy, Dr. Lowry. He was a professor down in Kane. And like I connected with him like after I quit school and came back. I took one of his classes. And I was like, he knew I didn't want to be there, man. And he was just like, yo, what's your story, man? What's your story, man? I'm like, cool. It's cool, brother, man. And like he got me into public administration. He got me in school. And he got me into believing in myself, man. And that was such a beautiful thing because like, I have older brothers. Like, I have my dad at the time. But like the mentorship and the leadership that he provided was so powerful, man. I'm happy we're talking about this because for the guys that are watching that have yet to be parents, you still carry an energy that can support a young one, man. Like you have that energy in you where you can mentor, you can lead, and that's part of the civic responsibility. Like as men, and I'm speaking to men and also parents in general, like it's our responsibility to help raise our young boys to be men that can carry us into leadership, that can be in partnership with the women that are being conditioned and created right now. So I think it's super important that we as men step up and be the guys, be example. Like, Noah being able to travel at this young age and like be able to see different things. Like that's so important, especially we talked chakra before. Like that development stage is huge, bro. It's huge. So yeah, man, that's powerful, bro. Be like, is there anything else like you would want to talk about? Like we forgot, or like you're like, hey, I want to just chop it up on this before we start to wrap.
I got to say, like, just going back to your story with Professor Lowry.
Yeah.
Like him just taking the time out and being like, Paul, so what's going on with you, my man? Trajected your life in a whole other way. Knowing that that he cared a little bit to take time out of his day, or had that emotional intelligence to realize that, hey, Paul's a little off right now. How can we, zero him in? If he had that boy mentality, he wouldn't have recognized that, nor would he have probably even cared. So bless up to his parents or his mentors putting you on this. And you see how this is a chain reaction. So as a parent, you do this for your kids will do this to other people, their kids. It never stops. And Paul, I know you've had thousands of mentors you've trained in your life. And I'm sure a little bit of every time you train somebody, so thanks to Professor Lowry for having that emotional intelligence to kind of traject you in the right area. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. Yeah, he passed on, man, too. So bless up to his spirit and his energy. But he was, bruh, like, dude, it brings me back, man, because and like when you just said, there's always this tale of ancient times when men initiated young boys. right? Where like the grandfathers ripped the kids away from the mothers in the tents. The mothers acted like they were concerned. No, don't take my son. And the son is going there like, they'll take his ass.
All right.
You know what I mean? Take his ass. Then it's like there was some sort of way, and when the boys went out into the wild, they had to get scarred. They had to get scarred. And I bring this up because I think in our society right now, we're afraid to let the kids get scarred, man. You mentioned it before in the podcast. Like,
yeah.
We get to let them get scarred, bump the knee, because once they do that and they figure out they'll be okay, they learn how to get through it, they learn how to manage adversity, then they get on that path to manhood and have the tools to traverse all this stuff out here. Because let me tell you something, it ain't easy out here, especially when you want to succeed. Right?
Yeah. That reminded me of like when I was in Senegal, we must have visited probably like 6 or 7 tribes out there, and every single one of their tribes, we went to their place, and every single one of them, they have like a ritual, what they do, bringing boys into men, and they all had their, like, whether it be like out in the desert for 14 days by themselves and just kind of fending, or out in the jungles, or certain kind of like other things going on. But it was just wild, and all these. That's why I love Africa. Like, I've never really found. I've had hundreds of conversations with people, and very rarely do you find like an immature man or an immature boy. Like the boys are like 12, 13, serious. They're fun loving on the inside, but they're serious. They're smart, intelligent. Like, they're just men. You can tell they have a mindset of a man, like a leader. And it's beautiful how they're raised out there, because they have been scarred. Because they have been scarred. Because they have been scarred.
Yes. And they're at that age, man. They can get a woman pregnant, so they got a family, bro.
Yeah.
Like, the people, you know what? That's the thing about Western culture, bro. Shit. We make things so easy for people. I'm judging, yes. We make things so easy for people up until like freaking 30.
Yeah.
It's like, bruh, you know how many lessons you missed out on, bruh? Your 20s are supposed to be the time you freaking push that shit. You gotta learn your lessons. Then the 30s, you learn some more. And then 40s, you maybe start integrating, bro. Get ahead of the curve, baby.
Yeah, my 20s were a shit show. I had no direction. I felt like when I was younger, I needed more direction. And I was a shit show. I just drank a lot, slept with as many people as I could. Women, not people.
Yeah,
I was just like an absolute shit show. And that's a sign of immaturity too, man. Just sleeping around. I think that's a big sign, and I think that's, that's another topic. But, just kind of dating around, playing the fields. Like, what are you doing? Like, have more respect for yourself. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm like, no offense to all the single followers out there that are doing that right now. But as you get older and you meet the right one, you're going to look back and you might be like, hey, I did my thing and, cool. But you're going to realize that it came from an immature place.
Yep. And fellas, look, coming from a dude that's out here single, man, I don't date because, listen, you date the wrong one, she's carving your shit up. Whether it's your body or your car, bro. You got to be careful out here, man. Don't play around with women out here, bro. That's what we talk about, these relationship skills, man. Some of these women out here are crazy, bro. They will cut your ass. Listen, they don't put the stories out on the news, but there's some things out here, bro. Be careful out here. Don't play with these ladies, man. Don't play with their emotions.
What's going on in Summit?
Bro, listen.
Yeah.
He said what's going on in Summit. You don't want to know what's happening in the suburbs, right?
That's great.
Yo, can you imagine in Summit? Someone slashes up a man on blah blah street. Anyway, listen, bless up. This is how you know we're going off the rails, goddammit. Hey, listen, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for being a part of this important conversation. Hey, listen, if you have a son, you're a mother, you're a father, you're a divorced father, a married father, a divorced mom, whatever. If there was something in this that resonated with you, put it in the comments or send us an email like, hey, listen, I think you guys could do a topic, more topics on this or that or what have you. Let us know because we want to put this stuff out here. Remember, this is part of our men's health segment for May. So bless up. Share this with the man. Let's have this conversation and let's raise the boys up right. Bless up, man. B, any last words before we wrap up with the folks, man?
Nope. I'm gonna go back to my my essential oils and my tea and get a good night's rest.
And everybody send vibes to Brian. Brian, yeah, these are good vibes with the spirit fingers. Yeah, buddy. Peace, everybody. Until next time, we're out of here. Later.